are you today? Like,
Yeah, they could promise you a team, but they got to pay a lot of money.
oh, I mean, I learned a lot
He said he wanted,
from it.
We're good?
and I think he said,
Okay.
can't do that. But
Alrighty, it is 6 PM. I'd like to call to order the Information Systems Committee. We have one item on the agenda today, and it is an 1854 Ravenna map restoration. And we have Mr. Kevin Gray from the Portage County Historical Society here to speak about that. If you'd like to come up.
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Kevin Gray. I'm a curator at the Portage County Historical Society. I'm also currently the vice president there. I don't know if you know about our organization. It's an all-volunteer organization. We receive no other funding other than donations. And one thing that we have in our collection, it's an 1854 map. I think you got the handout already, but it's very unique as far as Ravenna history goes. When I came across it, it was like I had found the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's how excited I was, because it was mislabeled. It was actually labeled as an 1857 map, which we all know about. It's the Portage County 1857 map. They have that at the Library of Congress. But this map is 1854, and it's a much larger scale of Ravenna Village. Ravenna Village was first created in 1852, so this was a map right after the village first formed. And it's the scale, it's probably about the size of the table in the center there, so it's much bigger. It shows every building to scale, so that's a really important artifact as far as knowing the history of Ravenna, what it was like back then. It's about as close as we can get to going back in a time machine just to see what was there. There's really no other equivalent to that. It really shows what buildings are still here that survived these past 170 years, and by that definition, like anything that's still left would be a historic building, so it would be a good tool for anybody who's doing some sort of a comprehensive survey of what buildings are still left from back then before the Civil War. So I just wanted to let City Council know that that is at the Historical Society and that it's in need of restoration. The current condition of the map is so poor that if you unfold it, it's literally falling apart. It's just like disintegrating in front of your eyes. So it's not available to researchers or anybody who wants to learn from it. And there's lots of information on there about who owned the houses, who owned all the buildings and stores in town, all the different factories that started up back then. And it's really the pioneers that first came to Ravenna around 1799 to 1808 is when the village was laid out. In many cases, those are those first buildings that show up on that map. And so that's really the foundation that we've built on in the last 170 years. So it's in need of restoration. Historical Society does not have funds to do that. And so that's why we're here today, just asking for your consideration.
Does the map, is it kind of like some of the other ones where there are like drawings of it at scale, kind of like the pitch thing? Rather than just like a flat square on a map, it actually has a little bit of the angle kind of work with it?
No, it's actually a flat map, so it's drawn to
Okay.
scale. I'm not sure exactly what scale it is, but it's big enough for a house is about the size of your thumbnail, so it can actually show the building outline.
Okay, gotcha. And it shows that there were 3 prospective opportunities for cost of restoration. Can you speak to those as well?
Yeah, actually, our grant writer, Pat Stevens, I think you knew Pat, she passed away, and that was a couple years ago that she got those quotes. So I know that all the quotes we had for restoration are well under $10,000, but we'd have to probably go back and do another quote for estimates of how much it would cost. And also, those are just estimates. It would probably help if the restorer saw the map in person too, so they could give a better idea of how much it would actually cost to restore.
Gotcha. So for this committee, is there consideration for helping fund this?
I have a really weird question. Why is this in this committee? Like,
It's,
how does this fall in information systems?
there's a long-term plan to have it digitized and available.
Okay. And available to everybody. I mean, if we can find the funding, I think it'd be fabulous.
Okay.
Has anybody looked into any grants to go towards the project yet?
Yes, we did apply for a couple grants that were not accepted. So it has been done in the past, but always the grant application is an ongoing process, so it's something that could be done.
Have you checked with the Ravenna United Fund on possibly funding a portion of this? They're usually pretty generous about things that, for the betterment of Ravenna. So this is Ravenna. I would strongly encourage to submit something to the Ravenna United Fund. I don't know if that was considered or if it's been done, but
We're looking at all of our options right now, so that is a good option,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think Pat had even applied for a grant from the Ohio History Connection for this too back then as well.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be doing my job as a curator unless I went and looked at all the options, and that's why I'm asking you guys.
The restoration of the map, could you give us a little more information about how it's going to look after it's done? Because as you look at the pictures that were provided to us, it is really crumbling and in some places almost in pieces. What will they do when you say restoration for $4,000 to $6,000? What are they going to
Yeah.
do?
So it's a pretty involved process. I'm not a restorer myself, but I can kind of go over what I know about it. There's actually 3 layers that go into a map. There's the paper that the map is printed on. Underneath that, there's a backing made out of cloth. And on top of that, there's varnish to protect the paper. So what they have to do is actually remove the varnish, remove the backing, piece the paper back together as best they can and make it presentable, and then they'll redo the backing, re-varnish it, and make it so it looks like a new map instead of just a crumpled up piece like it is now. And then, like you were saying, it is going to be digitized, and I think that's the most important thing too, is that it can be accessible for everyone. Tom Riddle volunteered to digitize it for us.
Another question is, you're approaching us, or we've been approached about helping to fund it. What other organizations in town have you approached for possible funding? Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Ravenna, other organizations?
Well, the reason I came up to City Council first was because Chelsea had just worked on a digitizing project, which the Historical Society helped with, and this kind of goes along that same train of thought, is preserving Ravenna's history and everything that could be beneficial for the Chamber of Commerce and the City Council as well.
So you work at the library, correct?
I do work at the library, but I'm not representing the library here today. I'm representing the Historical Society.
Okay. Yes. That might be confusing for what I'm about to say, but are you aware of LSTA grants through the state?
Yeah, we are looking into the LST grants as well, yes. 'Cause the
So-
Historical Society does have its own library there.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of LSTA grants regarding historical societies as opposed to libraries, but this one that was recently announced is for up to $4,999 to conserve a single item or preserve a small discrete group of items within the collection. The item selected for conservation preservation should be unique, valuable culturally or monetarily, and as a cultural artifact to speak to the mission and values of the applying institution. Sounds like right up.
Yeah, I read through that grant. Unfortunately, I'm not available that day when they have a requirement to go to a workshop.
I wonder if somebody else could do it on your behalf.
That would be wonderful, yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll send you an
Tim, you're
email.
smiling over there. Do you have some free
I was just wondering if you were available
I was
on
just
that.
looking at him too.
If you could let me know what date that is, I'll see if I can do that for you.
It's the 20th.
Great, Tyler.
20th? Okay.
Tyler, I'm not on this committee, but just a little bit of input, I will say, I am not against giving a donation. I do think it's important to, preserve some of Ravenna's history. I also do feel that it's our due diligence. It's part of Ravenna, and it's part of the history, and especially for digitizing it. But I do encourage, I wouldn't be for funding the whole thing, but I do think that in good stewards that, we should contribute something. So that's just my opinion. I'm not in this committee, but I do I do respect what you guys are doing, and I do think history is important. So thank you.
You're welcome. One of my nightmares is just what would happen if that historical society burned down or something like that. A tornado came through town and they would just be gone forever. It's irreplaceable. So I would like to see it digitized and a lot of the other items there too, so that that loss wouldn't happen.
Oh, and it doesn't even have to be that catastrophic. Like a roof leak could just do enough damage for that.
Exactly. And I did contact the Library of Congress, and they do not know of any other copies of this map. So as far as we know, it's a one of a kind.
Okay. Yeah,
You have to maybe come back with more information once you guys have the totals and, sorry, if you guys have the totals and,
yeah, we have some quotes, but they are older, as Kevin mentioned, from a couple
but as
years
far
ago.
as who is going to donate, how much they've raised and so forth, I would maybe suggest keeping it in your
Yeah.
committee.
I'm good to hold this in committee, and Kevin, we can talk to you about, for the workshop thing, for the details on that one.
Thank you.
And we could also see if there's other funding sources too, to help kind of chip in on this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a real
Yeah,
good
that sounds
idea.
great.
I'm glad to finally see the face behind, because I see your post a lot, of
yeah.
all the history posts, and I have to tell you, I enjoy them, and I'm always looking for, relatives, family members, and some of the old pictures that you share on your page. So I do find it, I really enjoy it, so thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, I'll be in touch, Kevin, and do we have any management updates? Mayor Frank? No? Okay. All righty, we are good to adjourn at 6:11 PM.
Okay, it looks like we're 4 minutes ahead of schedule, so I'm going to try to keep this as productive as possible. It is 6:12, and I'm going to call together the Public Health and Safety Committee. We do have several items on the agenda tonight, and we do have quite a bit on our agenda to discuss. I spent 2 hours on Friday with our fire department, and then I spent some time with our police department. So got a lot of knowledge there, had some great conversation with our chiefs. And so let's get started. First item on the agenda is contract with Bright LLC for cloud storage. And this is with the police department. This is, I believe, renewing our contract. This is for the body cams. So something that we need to do. Jake, there's no changes or anything like that, correct? It's pretty much straightforward as we talked about. Okay. So with that being said, is there any questions from this committee?
How much is it?
Oh, I don't,
7,000.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was budgeted too, so,
I was just
yeah, no,
wanting an update on that.
yep, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and, it's an important thing, especially nowadays, what, our officers of the law go through, and I'm so thankful that we have great protection for them, so we will go ahead and move that forward. Next item is also with the police department. This is contract with Montrose Ford for 2 vehicles, and this also was budgeted. These are for, Jake, I'll go ahead and let you talk. 2 new cruisers, and they are with Sarchone or Montrose? Oh, yeah, I'm reading it, sorry. Okay, and the amount for those, Tammy?
Are your microphones on, sir?
It keeps feedbacking.
Oh, gotcha.
$91,308. They are $45,654 apiece, just for the cruisers.
Okay, and this was budgeted, correct?
Yes, it was.
And this is replacing,
It'll replace 2 cruisers.
This is a rotation you guys do every year, correct?
Yes, it is.
yeah, this is pretty common, so. Okay, any questions?
They were both purchased on state purchase
Yes.
pricing. Yeah.
That is correct. Okay, we'll go ahead and move that forward. Committee of a whole. Next item is contract with Hall Public Safety Upfitters, and that goes along with our vehicles. Jake?
This is for two outfits for the two cruisers. There's $25,177.82. This is considerably cheaper than the last time. We are now getting that cruisers are more compatible, so we're starting to reuse a lot of the equipment. So the outfitting will be a lot cheaper
Good.
until Ford changes the body style again.
Okay. Any questions with that? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move that forward. We're moving right along. We're coming up for our next two. Okay, new ladder engine for the fire department. This is something that we said we would bring back to committee after we had the levy successfully pass for our children. We all felt, well, I could say the majority of us, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I can say that we had voted that we would focus on our school levy, and this is something we didn't really want to look at anything else of a big ticket item until we kind of saw what was going on. I know we're going to have several big expenses coming up in the city, and we are growing, and we are experiencing a higher call volume. So the chief had given me some information, and also I spoke with Ryan, he was there as well, and kind of helped explain a little bit about the vehicles and how they operate. So I guess, I kind of looked at it as like when you're looking, I don't want to use like a football field, but, every player has its course of operation, right? So the command is a pickup truck. Their pickup truck is the command. The engine is the attack of the fleet. The squad is, water, search, rescue. The ladder, it's not to be designed an engine. So the thing that when he found out about this particular vehicle, or this squad or truck or fire, whatever I want to call it, it's a dual purpose, okay? So this particular one is a dual purpose. It acts as two, and it's a ladder and an engine, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We actually call it a Quint because it's actually designed to also be a rescue.
Okay, so this particular one is taking place and adding to one that we don't have, and also using resources that we don't have, but combining them. So I kind of really wasn't aware of that when it was presented to us, and I had a different perception now than I did before. I also, we had some really good conversation about when I was there, and I know Cheryl went recently before that and did some ride-alongs actually with the fire department. Their call volume has increased from 1,400 that was about 30 years ago to 3,600, which is present. And so the call volume has increased about 300%. One thing that, it's going to be another discussion. I mean, there's so many pieces to this puzzle that, that we kind of came up with. A lot of their calls, too, are to nursing homes and to places that they're taking up our time that really aren't emergencies. They're just being transferred. And so if we're not getting enough money from these facilities where other communities, and I don't mean to get off the track of the truck, I'm not going to do that, but I'm just looking, my point that I'm getting at, there are going to be, I think, other ways also to fund some of these other opportunities in the fire department, so that's kind of where I'm getting to. I think that we need to take an overall look at some of the funding opportunities that the fire department could actually be bringing in as far as maybe some of the other communities are, what they're requiring for, say, for example, nursing homes and how they charge nursing home billing, or require nursing homes to use, for just transfers, a different ambulance company versus using our, city ambulance services. So those are some interesting points that, it's been a question I've had for a long time. The other thing is, as far as the general fund and the safety levy, there has been money through the years that might have been allocated temporary, other places that, we're wondering when they're going to come back to the safety levy fund. So some of that money should be coming back to the safety fund that temporarily had been used in other places. So that was another question that, we want to look at and find out to see where funding could be available to equip our safety forces a little bit better. So anyways, Chief had explained to me how he has, currently, when this is ready to go, he will have, right now he has $300,000, he will have $600,000. He had been working closely with Tammy, and she is looking at other opportunities for some bonds, payment options where they could be considerably less. Am I correct?
Rates that would be less.
Yes. So, maybe a 15-year loan, where at the time of purchasing, he's going to be looking at maybe, like I said, $600,000 to put down, plus the money that he has budgeted currently would be paying for that already. So this is just bringing our current forces up to where they need to be, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the chief to let him explain more. But I will say I encourage each of you that have not had an opportunity to do a ride-along or spend a couple hours up there. I can tell you, which I do see every day at my job, but the phones rang nonstop in his office for calls. So I was impressed once I learned more about this new fire truck, the dual purpose of it, and it's just not a regular truck. It's a dual purpose. There's multi-uses for that. So it's cutting edge. So of course the price tag is going to seem, a little bit higher, but if we compare it to one that is 25 years old, we definitely did get our money's worth from that last one. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to the chief.
So, in 2021, we received a new engine. And to try to put some things in perspective, you have a fire engine, and then you have an aerial apparatus. And there's also other aspects of apparatus too. There's tankers and whatnot. For the city of Ravenna, we have engines and an aerial apparatus. It's like you can have a four-door sedan at home, and you have a pickup truck. They have two different purposes. You're not going to put 2 yards of mulch in your four-door sedan, but you'll put it in your pickup truck. It's the same thing with the aerial apparatus. The aerial is not a frontline attack engine. It only has 300 gallons of water. It's very minimal water. It's more designed for search and rescue, overhaul, elevated platform to do rescues of 3-story and higher buildings that we can't reach with ground ladders. It does have a pump on it, but the pump also has a maximum capacity of how much water it can flow. So with that being said, that's where a frontline engine comes in place. This backup engine that we currently have is 31 years old. For us to even try to put what it really needs to do, just the pump itself, Brad does all the pump work on that he could do in-house. We had Pierce Manufacturing come out with a Vantec who does a lot of the work to look at that pump and the apparatus. And we're just talking the pump itself. They quoted us roughly $224,000 just for the pump to make the pump to where it needs to be. To do a true renovation on the truck, which is, again, still going to be 31 years old. And they laughed at me when I said, what would it take to do that? He goes, why would you want to put $500,000 into something that has no value? I said, I understand, but so I can bring it back to council to try to justify my purchase, to put it in perspective. So, moving back, we currently have a ladder truck that's a 100-foot ladder, which is 25 years old. Its service life, theoretically through NFPA, should be at the end of its tenure. It's a great truck, it still has a purpose, it should last us at least another 5, possibly even 10 years, as long as we keep the PMs up on it, preventive maintenance is on it, because it's in a great condition. But again, it's not a frontline engine, and for us to trade it off, we're only gonna get maybe a couple $100,000 on it. To replace a 100-foot aerial, you're looking at $2.6 to $3 million. I don't wanna spend $2.6 to $3 million. So I'm trying to say, what can I better serve the community with a engine that is gonna be a new frontline engine. The engine that we currently have, which is 4 years old now, believe it or not, will be 6 years old, would be a perfect NFPA compliant reserved engine to rotate between the two, which best suits our community. The Quint, that is a 75-foot ladder, I feel, my officer corps feels, with our professional background to present to you, is what we feel would be the best thing that we could best serve our community with without compromise. That aerial, that engine ladder is like what Amy was saying. It has a 650-gallon water tank on it. It's designed for fire attack, but it still has a ladder way on it, which still only has a single axle versus a double axle. So it still gives us the reach to reach the majority of every business building within the city. There's only 2 that we would be in compromise of right now. Prospect House, because it's 7 stories and above, which we could reach it with a 75-foot ladder, and the administration building. Both those buildings have fire suppression systems built into them, fire alarm systems built into them. They're both fire-resistant buildings based on their construction, what the materials are. We also have a municipality that has ladder trucks that are a little bit taller than what we're looking at to help us out if that ever came to be the cost. Again, we have an aerial that can reach it now. If we want to entertain the thought of it, where we go in 10 or 15 years from now when that aerial is completely out of service and we want to spend $3 million roughly at that point, that's all we can make. But looking at today, which still serves us for tomorrow, for our community, we still feel that this engine gives us everything that we would need for at least the next 10 years of our service for our community. Yes, it's a $1.9 million apparatus roughly. I know it's hard to present a $1.9 million to council. Trust me, the 2 conversations that are hard is everything that deals with money and personnel. They're uneasy topics. I get it. I totally understand. My question to you is, if we can't do it when the city has a good reserve now and we feel comfortable about putting that money towards it, what happens in 5 years when we say, God forbid, the city's not in the same financial situation? We're never gonna do it, and now we're gonna be handcuffed because we're gonna have to make a move on an aerial apparatus or some kind of apparatus because all of our stuff's gonna be antiquated. It already is. Since the mayor took over in 2016, the first 3 years of our tenure were a struggle. We were playing catch up. We had no money. The last 6 years, we've been blessed. We got some new squads. We're replacing a squad. We just received 1 squad that we're replacing a squad that has 80,000 miles in 8 years. 5.6 square mile radius of what we have in our city, in a squad that is 10 years old, has 80,000 miles. That thing's running its doors off. And again, like you said, you guys came and rode with us. You were there an 8-hour period and ran 10 calls. You were there for 2 hours and we had 6 calls. It's a constant. We're very appreciative of everything we have, so I don't want to present like we don't have anything and you guys, but going back, we have been stagnant prior to 2000, from 2000 to 2016, that we're still playing catch up.
Right.
with the things that we need to, if I could speak, to continue to improve, to provide the services to our community. You put me in a position to bring you to what the department needs are and the direction I feel it needs to go. That's what I'm doing. It's up to you whether you want to back what I present or if you don't want to back what I present. But I'm not going to change how I feel and what I think our department needs.
And I appreciate that because you are the man that is in charge and you are fighting for your department and you want what's best for your department, just like all of our department heads are.
Public safety,
I want
yeah.
what's best
Absolutely.
for the city.
Yes, absolutely. And
Whatever I'm provided is what will provide that service to the city to the best of our abilities.
I never realized how afraid I was when we were sitting there with these calls that, because again, then I start thinking about the tie-up that they end up in the ER with some of the people that really shouldn't be tying up our people. And, you know, what if a young dad or what if somebody, you know, falls at home with a heart attack and there's no one to go pick them up? So that really started, you know, thinking my mind about what other options, and that's going to be for another discussion. But again, there's, I was around when you guys were behind the ball and is with Mr. Seaman next to me, sitting where Tyler is sitting now. And Brad sitting out there, I can't tell you how many conversations that Mr. Brad and I have had through the years and the advocating that he did back then. So I do feel better about my meeting after understanding it a little bit better because at first, yeah, I was pretty well, you know, because we do have a lot of things coming up that it's going to be expensive. But again, we are playing catch up and we want what's best for our community and moving forward with good equipment. So this is a discussion that it's important. It's important how we look at it. And again, it's important how we fund it and look at all of our options. And Tammy has been working diligently with him on this and looking at options. So the longer we wait on this, the more expensive it is going to be. So this is something that I think the committee needs to discuss, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to my committee members.
Yeah, I think that this is a good time to start making prudent decisions on, like, I think that we should be moving forward with it. It's a vehicle that does two birds, one stone kind of stuff, and you said it has some rescue capacity as well. So nearly three purposes. And like you said, if we wait longer, we might not have as many financial options or as many resources to put towards that as well. So it would be an opportunity cost.
Is the last couple of years, we were able to put $150,000 away each year. Each year,
That's
historically,
inflation.
there's a 5% increase on the cost of the construction of that vehicle. So if I'm losing $80,000 a year of a $150,000 put away, how much further ahead am I really at? I'd rather put that money that we're putting away each year as a payment and have what I need, even if the payment is just a little bit more, if it's affordable.
Brad, I'm going to turn it over to you real quick. Is there anything you'd like to say since you've been around this for a long time? If you'd like to stand up to the mic and say anything to add to this?
The vehicles, I mean, my impression that Pure Saver is an obsolete vehicle. I mean, we don't have no backup.
Go over there.
We just have no backup engine. I mean,
You got to state who you are, Brad.
Brad Rysick, Captain of Brandon City Fire Department. It's an obsolete vehicle. I just got quoted a high price tag value on this vehicle because gate valves, everything on there, they don't make. If I have to replace parts, it's brand new gate valves, everything else, and that comes with expense. The pump alone is $25,000. That's not including moving like all the antiquated plumbing, the wiring, the
water tank.
The water tank. It just is, and very unsure right now if they do it. The structural integrity of the frame has to be inspected. All the airline that leaks all the time. So it's like throwing money bad. I mean, and these are hard miles on a vehicle. This is like, whatever miles you got in an emergency vehicle, police, fire, times it by 4. So being got a squad 8,000 miles, 320,000 miles in a regular vehicle. I don't think many people here have a car 320,000 miles. You trade it and get rid of it because now you're putting good money to something bad. It's just say, even if we if 2313 needs repairs, currently right now, we got an engine I mean, it goes 0 to 50 in like in 10 minutes because it's such a underpowered engine. I mean, it gets the job done, but sooner or later it's gonna go. And to have redundancy in another engine, in case one's repaired, you're not crippled without a fire engine. You know? We got our backup best engine right now is the Ariel. It's a 100-foot platform, which is really not truly ideal for firefighting. So, I mean,
We're just trying to build for the future as well.
I understand.
We want to have, with the new building that may come in 5 years, however many years, we're building for the future development of the city. I know there's economic growth potential. I know, you know, we're kind of landlocked with new housing developments and whatnot. But even with that, our call volume between EMS and fire, regardless if it's EMS or fire side, still continue to rise.
Matt, do you have anything to say?
I do, I got some questions. Do we currently have 600,000 available as a down payment now, or when would that be available?
300,000 we have current. And then by the time the engine is built, they told us we're looking at a 24 to 28 month time frame. So in that time frame, if we stay on the same track of 150, we will be locked to that price. We will be able to put the $600,000 down before we took delivery of the apparatus.
So the down payment's not due until,
They would ask us for the 300,000 that we have, but we wouldn't have to make any other payment in that, because if we put the 300,000 down, they're gonna give us a discount on the price of the truck.
yeah, I see that, yeah. So, and again, I don't think anybody is concerned about the vehicles you guys need. We understand that, we get that. We're just trying to put things together so
totally
that it
understand.
works.
I do. We're all working for the same purpose. We're-
So then my next question is, with the safety levy funds, if we did a 15-year loan, and this may be a question for you, is that payment available with the safety levy money that's currently coming in, or would those payments come?
We could decide to
different way.
use part of that money, but that money's used for operating as well, so either way, it's going for the fire budget. But yes, we could commit part of that money, some of that money.
So I'm on board with purchasing it. What I would like to see is a definite plan. What we're getting right now is a bunch of what ifs, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that. If somebody can hand me a document that says this is how we're going to do it, and it falls within our constraints,
In fairness,
Absolutely.
we have, that price is from one manufacturer. We have talked to a couple other manufacturers that we wanna go visit to see what the quality of their product is. We've had Pierce apparatus in the past. Their fit and finish, their quality has kind of diminished over the years, so we stayed away from them. But now they're promising, and several things that we've heard, they're kind of back on the uprise, as well as Seagrave is another manufacturer. All of them, again, are under a state bid pricing. So there is, the 1.9 is the high end. No matter what manufacturer we go to, we might be able to shave that down a little bit, but I'd rather present you worst case scenario than come back and say I need another $200,000 because we were undercut.
and then I know you had mentioned that the 100-foot truck is antiquated, end of life, but there's value to that.
There is.
That's something that you guys want to, again, we don't have a lot of space. We know we're working through that issue as well. Is that an engine that you guys still want to hold on to, or is that something that can be used
The housing.
towards the price of this?
And I appreciate what you're asking. The housing is gonna fall on me, to be honest with you. If this is a go, we will make it work. We have 3 squads in our apparatus bay now that we thought we'd never be able to finish because, to be able to fit. And you're gonna say, why do we have 3 squads? Because Amy can attest, and so can Cheryl. We get double, triple tapped, and we call triple tap. It's 3 calls in a row within 5 minutes. We don't wanna really rely, we wanna take care of our citizens, and I'm sure you want us to take care of our citizens. We don't want mutual aid to come in for a chest pain call and be 7-10 minutes away coming from wherever, whether it's the township, Ritztown, Kent, whoever. So we're trying to have the apparatus there and then have the manpower and the resources available to provide that service.
And the big problem last year we fell into was one of the squads had a big part repair, and they don't like keeping stuff in stock no more.
Is out 3 months.
So we had a wait time, so we had one squad doing all the calls. This is where we started thinking, maybe we should have 3, because one goes down, we still need 2.
This vehicle, you're saying, can also be used as a squad?
No, well,
It has the
it's a rescue,
capabilities?
so it'd have like the extrication equipment and everything on it. So it would be a fire engine, it'd be a rescue that has extrication tools on it, and it also has a ladder on it, so it'd be able to reach and do rescue operations.
But not everything a full squad's set up to do.
For how we operate,
Transport
we're
and
walking
stuff
out the
like
door
that.
with pretty much every tool we need on one piece of equipment.
Are you asking if there's gonna be medical equipment on there, like a monitor?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of what I was, I
we do.
thought.
And we have it on our engine now. We have a monitor on there, we have drug boxes on there. So even if we didn't have a squad available,
For
we can
instance,
still do.
if a fourth call came in,
We can respond to it.
it would be, okay. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I'd love to see some hard numbers, some facts. Where's this coming from? How's it gonna get paid for? And that the administration understands that and is okay with that. And you'd have my support 100%.
Tyler, any questions?
No, I'm good with moving forward, but we just need to figure out how the financial puzzle pieces fit in. Once we're there, I think we're good to move forward.
I do. Cliff, you have a question? You want to come up?
Cliff Soto, 464 Woodland Street. First of all, support it completely. The squad saved my mother's life 29 years or 30 years ago. 30 years ago, and it made a difference in our lives.
That was the captain.
But I do have a
Yes,
couple
yes.
questions. One is to go deeper in, we're gonna have a $2 million truck, and we still have a ladder truck that's worth some money. Where are we gonna store them? I know you're talking about jockeying some things out there, but where really are you gonna come up? 'Cause that truck's not short. How long is that truck?
Actually, it's pretty much comparable to the engine that we would be replacing.
Okay.
So, but yes, you have a good concern there, and my answer is, well, we have a couple years before it would be built to truly try to outfit it. Hopefully, there's a little bit better game plan that we have with a new safety building, whether it's constructed or not. And if worse comes to worse, we would have to do some things. Right now, we have a workout equipment that's in our apparatus bay. If we have to try to rehouse that and repurpose that, because we're just handcuffed. I mean, you guys know, my office is a bunk room at night.
Sure.
And
I get it.
we unless we grow up or grow out or something, I don't really have the immediate answer for that. But my immediate thing that I need to address is be able to provide what I need to
Sure,
provide.
I get it. Yeah, I get that. The other thing is we have businesses that came here and we gave tax abatement to, and we were glad to have them here. And some of those, probably the newest one, might be something that is used on eventually, and hopefully not. But has anybody thought about going around to businesses, or I don't know about crossing over to the county, but we're working on the county building down there. Is it getting a little money from these people?
I know Mrs. Miller had brought that up too. It would be, I think that's a great idea, and that might be something that Dennis could pursue if the mayor chose to do that, or I don't have the resources to connect with LG, and I don't know how to handle that particular business. They are a little, I guess, different and on asking stuff like that. So that would be something that I would feel comfortable with the mayor or the economic development person looking at options like that. But I'm not against that at all. I think there are some places that could help us, and that would be a decision on, I think, the administration.
No doubt. Also, fraternal organizations, they push as people are getting older and going to pass to make sure that they put people in their wills, or the city in the will, or the club in the will, or something. Have we looked at doing that and putting out there, and think about your city, you've made your living here and so forth, to get people to say, hey, when I pass, if there's anything left, I want to give this to them. Or not even if they pass, there could be money sitting out here that people would say, hey, I'm all for that. They saved my life once. Maybe I can give 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever to put towards it. It's just a thought. I think we might be missing a chance to ask people. All they can say is no.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so how does this committee want to go with this at this point? Do you want to move it forward to finance for others? Yes.
Ms. Michaels, are we able to make other comments now?
If you'd like to make a comment, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, as we're trying to look to finance this and replace it, I am not against replacing the vehicle. I think it's a good idea. I do have concerns about taking a loan out for it, or a lease to do it. I believe setting aside the money for a number of years to be able to purchase it is the best option for us to go. As we looked at a couple of the financing options here, with the $300,000 down payment, if we finance it across 7 years, we're going to pay $314,359 interest on that. And so if we finance it over 10 years, which is also an option there at the 5.02%, where finances charges of $438,000 if we finance it over 10 years. So I guess I just wanted to get that on the record, my concern about financing something instead of putting the money aside and purchasing it. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have.
Ms. Wood?
Yes, I would just like to reiterate my day spent with the fire department and how amazed I was with the way that they go. We were on squad calls and numerous calls where we did transports to the hospital, and we were not even out of the hospital, and the next call was coming in. They were getting the squad cleaned and ready to go, jump in and go to the next call back to the hospital. And they actually had their minimum men on shift that day. So there was 4 men, and 2 of them were in the squad. And I kept saying, well, what happens if a fire call comes in? What happens if this happens? It leaves 2 men on station to handle that. And this is what they do daily. And I got an amazing tour of parts of the fire department that I never imagined seeing. And it was amazing that this is their second home. This is where they literally live. They eat there. They may try to shut their eyes and get some sleep there, but it's tight. There's not much there. And then they do all of the mechanics and all of the maintenance.
In-house, yes.
In-house on these vehicles. So our service providers, our protectors and savers are working in between those calls that don't stop coming in to maintain every piece of equipment that they have over there to save every single one of us, our family members, and all of that. If it's a piece of equipment that they need, I am totally on board to do whatever we need to do to provide them with the proper equipment to continue to save our residents and do the fine job that they do. As far as the financing options on it, every year that we wait, we're adding minimum of $100,000 onto the cost of that vehicle. So I would prefer to move it forward.
I'd like to make a couple quick comments. The times I've been at the fire department, some of the times I was quite shocked on what I had seen and learned.
because of things that were, I'll just say, in the past. I mean, I learned a lot of great positive things, phenomenal. But some things I thought to myself, this is going back decades, and it's in the present. And this is, to me, things should be up, if not right to 25, maybe a few years or so behind, but not as far behind as it really is. Because when you find out things on trucks that are bad or engines that are bad, that you don't, I mean, actually see, you know, you can see this microphone, but there's things inside that if they're bad, it doesn't work right. I'm using this as an example. And it's, when you spend time there, like you two did recently, it's, some things can be quite eye-opening. I mean, it's great if you can pay cash for something, but some things in a need like this.
I understand. Thank you.
Yes.
And again, I want to also reiterate, you know, in the past, we did not have the funding that we are blessed to have now. So we made do with what they had, and they did go through quite a bit. And we are coming out of those dark ages, and our city is blooming forward, and, you know, our police and fire and all of our departments are doing great. So I'm very proud of how well things have come, and I want to continue moving forward. So with that being said, Tyler, are you okay moving this forward?
Yeah, I'd like to see some information if, between the chief and the finance director, if there's some operational shifts that you could do for funding to help kind of meet and bridge more of that gap as payments. Because I think that might help alleviate Tim's concern that we don't want to eat this on interest, because that might take away future opportunities for equipment and such.
Okay, Matt, you okay moving it?
Yeah, I'd like to move it forward with the expectation that if there are any additional quotes, that we get to see those, and then some funding options that we can actually make a decision on.
We've been in touch with some people that might be able to lower the interest rate.
Good. And, okay, well, so with this being said, I'm going to go ahead and move this forward to finance, and we can discuss it as committee, well, I still call it finance, sorry, as committee of a whole, and we can discuss this more and hopefully have some more information on this and continue to move forward on this, okay? Thank you, Chief, for all of the information, and I do appreciate it. Okay, last item on the agenda is the open burning fires, campfires. So we had some lengthy discussion with this as well on Friday, and we had Ryan there as well. And we looked at the calls previously that had been made. We also pulled our ordinance, our city ordinance, and I remember when we discussed this back in, I can't remember the year to be exact, but when we did some updating. The ordinance number is 660.08. Open burning. And there had been a situation on the west end of town that had drummed some problems, and so we kind of had to address some things. And what we did, the one thing that we did find that under C, Ohio burning in residential areas, everything falls under the Ohio Revised Code. So in the ordinance specifically, under 3, where it says they shall have a total fuel area of 3 feet or less in diameter and 2 feet or less in height. We need to add, under that ordinance, add distance from structure. 50 feet from the structure. It's missing that, and the chief and Ryan, who's a lieutenant, also felt that that part needed to be added in there under number 3. It also, when they checked on some of the complaints, without saying where they were and who they were, the person was always very compliable with them, and there was not things such as trash or the things that we have listed in our ordinances that are considered not allowed. When they go on these calls, they do check what's burning, and they are trained in knowing what is, burning in these fires. They can tell by the smells, they can tell by what things look like, and so forth. They have to have things in that area showing that it is an actual burning fire. We also talked about if the place is not showing, if they go to a fire and they're not compliant and they're burning trash and they're burning leaves and things that they're not supposed to be burning, and when they go there, this is what they're finding, and it's happening multiple times. At that point, they are going to contact our service director, Tim. And they talked about our chronic nuisance ordinance and how we can enforce that on people who are creating problems in the neighborhood. But the amount of call volumes that the city overall has received has been very little for complaints. So unfortunately, the only thing that we can find for restitution with this particular one would be to add the 50 feet from the structure under 3. And they also did state that, if there's any questions after anybody calls on a fire and you're concerned, you can always call the fire department and ask for a public records request. As a rule, they don't call and disclose information. It has to go through the proper process, and it has to be a public records request. So I don't know if that's really what you want to hear, if this helps any. I know this was brought to us by a resident, Eve. I don't know if there's any questions you'd like to stand up and say, but I'm happy to open it up to you if you'd like. Oh, Chief?
Because we had a little conversation before.
Oh, well, no one told me.
So to kind of piggyback what Amy's saying is, in our city ordinance, we adopted the Ohio Fire Code. The Ohio Fire Code is on our website. Basically, if you looked at the fire department webpage, this is a breakdown of basically what the Ohio Fire Code has to say about open burning. It goes into detail about what your distance is from a structure, from a mobile vehicle, and if it's in like what they call a chimney or an outside fireplace kind of thing. So if it's in a chimney or a fireplace, it could be within 15 feet of a structure. If it's just a fire pit, it has to be 50 feet from a structure. And then there's also guidelines in there about having to have a suppression unit, like a hose, a garden hose, whatnot, to go into it. The things that these don't really go into detail on, that is subject to our area of expertise, is a judgment call based on weather, wind direction, wind gusts, and whatnot. Without that, unless the city wanted to put something in ordinance to say wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, no open burn or authorized burning will be permitted, and then we can enforce it from that. We can only enforce by what is in the code.
Right.
We can exceed the fire code, but we can't undercut the fire code. So we can add to whatever we want to make it more stringent for ordinance, but we can't make it softer, is what I'm
Correct.
getting at.
And I don't think our residents would want it softer.
So the other thing that we would look at, and let's just say we went to a house, the same house, 3 times in a month. And in this situation, they were burning leaves or 4x4 timbers because they just built the deck or whatnot. The nuisance ordinance says the third nuisance event within 180 days from the first nuisance event. The language, I think, would have to be changed in here. 180 days, that's a long time. People don't burn for 6 months in a row and 3 complaints. I think if you want to make this a little bit more specific so that we can enforce it within our own municipality through the service department, we would have to say within a 30-day period on the third complaint that we found to be within violation. So let's just say they were burning leaves on May 1st. We went there on the 12th and they were burning timber or whatever the case may be. And on the third time, now we can say, look, we're citing you, we're turning it over to the nuisance, as a nuisance complaint, and you're gonna be in violation of that and fined. That money would come back to the city could put it back in the general fund, whatever they wanna do from that case. But there has to be, these don't marry together
Right.
perfectly by no means.
Well,
we
and I
have-
think-
We have to come up with some kind of tweaking in the ordinance along with the nuisance ordinance so that they marry, so we can enforce it.
Okay, that sounds good. No, that was,
Right now, if we call the EPA out, they are so.
They're not gonna
inundated,
come.
They're not gonna come.
No.
They're gonna say, well, we'll be there next week. Well, what's that gonna do for us?
so, yeah, this is a little bit different for the chronic nuisance, because in general, like, our chronic nuisance is, like, for property maintenance, that's what it's used for. Sometimes it's also used with the police department, but since fire season isn't like from time to 180 days, it's a little bit different. So I think we could make an adjustment as far as time under this particular ordinance. I'm trying to think how we could do that, to be specifically geared. I don't know, Mr. Content, if you have any ideas, since your office deals a lot with the chronic nuisance, or if my committee has any ideas. I'm thinking the 30 days under this particular ordinance, making it a little different, so it's not the 180 days from the first offense.
Yeah, I would probably go 30 days. I would. I mean, it's, obviously, it's open burning season's open, what, six months out of the year, maybe?
Right.
I would go down to 30 days. I would.
And
Recalls.
It's not by the month, it'd be 30 days, so.
From the
if it's the
time.
middle
From
of
the
May
time.
for the first violation. It's
Exactly.
in the middle of June for the second.
Absolutely.
Or the third. So,
Sure.
yeah, so it's
That's how I would do it.
ongoing 30 days.
Right.
May I just make a note? You're talking
Yes.
about the nuisance ordinance, which isn't, I don't know if it even defines open burning as a nuisance, but I think we need to be careful about changing those numbers, because some nuisances extend for a longer period of time. If you
Right.
shorten it to 30 days, you won't be able to capture people who maybe do something once a month. I'm just saying, either
Maybe
carve
it's a
out
45-day.
or carve out a special
Except like a
part
date range just for
for
that
open
nuisance.
burning.
Well,
when
that's
it's a
what we were
short-
talking
yes,
about.
absolutely.
That's what
Well,
we
I
were
wasn't
saying.
sure whether you were just shortening.
No,
the
no, no, no,
overall
no,
time.
no.
Just for open burning.
This is something completely separate. This is only for open burnings for this nuisance. This would be considered a nuisance for this, which would be different from our actual nuisance ordinance. We could definitely talk with Mr. Semino about this as far as the language, but I don't see the big deal really, because all we're doing is, making an ordinance that from the time of the complaint, if it's continuance for, more than so many times, 30 days, it would be considered a nuisance. So,
Is it possible for us, and I completely agree with you on all this. I'm reading the frequently asked questions on the fire department page. Could we list like in here it says you can't burn trash, refuse and rubbish or waste, like leaves, what's that considered?
Brush.
brush.
So could we like maybe just kind of add that so that,
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm getting at. We have to make these very.
yeah, because this is
I
great.
don't care if you don't put language, I don't care if it's a language of saying that will be in compliance with the Ohio Fire Code that is already an ordinance.
Yeah.
that
'Cause
is adopted.
right.
Yeah.
Or if you want to spell out the language that's in the fire code.
So-
No matter what, it has to be tweaked, because somebody could go to an open burn on the ordinance and be like, doesn't say anything about a restriction, but they're not looking at the fire code.
Right.
So we're gonna say, we're enforcing the fire code, and they're like, well, the fire code, the city ordinance says this. But you also have to understand, the city has adopted the Ohio Fire Code, so therefore, they're married together. Even though it doesn't look like it on paper, they are they are enforced under the same.
Well, and I think if I'm a resident, maybe I do look up ordinances every once in a while. But a typical resident might not go to look at Ohio Fire Code or Ravenna's
Right.
ordinance for burning. So if we had that information like really nicely presented on the
Right.
website, then that could be referred to when they're going out to call. So it might be easier, for them to look at, for residents to look at.
Right. Yeah, so ultimately, the Ohio Revised Code trumps everything, you know, so, but yeah, to have it listed in black and white will be helpful, I think, for everyone and for clarification as well. So, Mr. Harper, do you have anything
I
to say?
actually do have a question. The state emergency system will put out alerts for thunderstorms, tornadoes, and I've also seen alerts for burn warnings, high winds, and it gives a designated area. If that was in effect put on by the emergency management system in our area and someone called, would you have the authority at that time to say, we've got to extinguish this?
We could, but the unfortunate thing is even with like drought of last year, we didn't fall in an area that was considered to be a drought
Yeah, like the affected region.
area. So it had no bearing on any activity that was permissible or not permissible within the city. I think if we're looking at trying to take away a judgment call and just enforce based off of like, and again, you'd have to say, if you look at a phone or an app or say, wind gusts are 20 miles an hour or it's too windy, and say, if that language was in the ordinance, it can't be in the fire code because you can't change the fire code. But it could be in our ordinance, say, any prevailing winds that are 25 miles an hour or greater authorized, no open burn will be authorized. And we can enforce that versus us as saying, hey, 'cause we run into this too. We're gonna say, well, we're gonna ask you to put that fire out because we don't feel it's safe. Well, fire code says this, and the ordinance says this, where does it say anything about weather? Well, we're making a call, and then they get upset with us. And again, it's hard to enforce something that you really don't have language to enforce.
That's why I was wondering, since it was an emergency management alert, if that would be enough teeth for you
There
guys
is.
to enforce.
Again, for the most part, those don't really, we fall in such a, in the municipality, as being incorporated, it doesn't really hit us.
Yeah, I know it doesn't happen very often. I think it was probably 2-3 weeks ago, I had a alert come across that it was a fire danger like you see out west.
Yeah, burn ban.
It came through for our area, burn ban, you know, please don't do this, so.
I had a question. We've incorporated the Ohio Fire Code, that we've adopted that. That has the 50-foot restriction on a building. Do you enforce that when you've gone out? Do we enforce 50 feet from the existing buildings?
We don't, to the best of our ability, yes, we don't take a tape measure, but if we deem like, it seems like it's a good distance away, safe distance, they have a garden hose there, or a fire extinguisher outside, and everything else seems to be compliant. And it's not like a very windy day, again, it's a judgment call, it will, you know, permit it, or we won't. But again, if we don't, if we're basing on putting out a legal fire, just because of prevailing winds, we don't really have the ability to say, well, you can't burn. It's more of a common sense thing, and it's an unfortunate thing in our world today that there's, what I feel is my common sense, we may not have to share the same values on, you know, across the board. So unless we put some kind of definitive language in there, that's kind of a hard one to support, to enforce.
Question for you. Are prevailing winds the greatest cause of fires that get out of control that your department faces? Or are there other factors?
I mean, honestly, yes, even a lot of the field fires or grass fires that we have, people will have either a burn barrel or whatever the case may be, even within the city, if they think it's fine, within a 55-gallon drum, and they'll light it up, the embers will pop out, the wind will take it, there's a bunch of dead leaves in an area, and guess what, the next thing you know, you have a grass fire, a large grass fire, that could extend to a structure, whether it's a garage, a house, even an automobile. So yes, we run into that quite often.
Okay, so,
Honestly, more so in the arsenal, because we still provide services to the arsenal. But the grade of the open land with foliage coming down, yes, absolutely.
so having that added would be the greatest value for your department to help reduce fire risk in the community.
Can I go back to the 30 days thing, because I'm either confused or I don't want unintended consequences. what is the benefit of reducing the 180-day period to 30 days?
We're only doing it for this ordinance, this
but
part.
why for this?
Because fire season,
Right.
so if you, from the first time to, say, the next time, isn't going to probably be 180 days.
No, it has to be within 130. If you have 3 occurrences in 30 days, you violated the 180-day. You don't have to change anything.
Well, with a fire, you should be able to change it
But
quickly.
Why would you? That's my question.
I think he's saying that it's a bigger net, that you could catch more instances of.
If it happens within
bad
30
fires.
days, it already violates the
Yeah, it
180-day
meets
rule.
that, right?
They did it
3
3 days in a row.
violations with, any time, 3 violations within that 180 days. So within 6 months, if there's a violation, 3 months apart, but it's third, within that 6 months, it's a violation, it's a nuisance.
Find
So
a
someone-
violation this month,
Yeah.
and then 31 days later, I had another violation. If we
But it's
cut it
not
down to 30
nuisance.
days.
Yeah, you could just
then
schedule
you're
your
outside
nuisances.
that window.
Yeah.
You could just have a bonfire every 35 days and it would be okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
got you.
Where the
just-
180
because we were
days-
trying to shorten it, because we thought the 180 days was actually a longer period of time.
No, it's leaving
Gives
3
them more time to get in
violations
trouble.
at all.
Okay, good, yeah, our goal was to shorten it, that's what, what we had said, so, okay, so we'll keep it at that. I'm sorry, we got it backwards.
No, but it makes good sense.
Yeah, I was trying to shorten it, so, sorry. All right, so I appreciate that. We will keep it the same then. We will not change it to 180 days.
In all the reports that we have, we could go back in our department, and I could give you how many times I've been to 210 Parkway in the last 5 years. So there's no question of tracking. Our system that we utilize, that is simple to make a determination.
Okay, no problem. We will rewrite what we currently have, and then we will move it to the next.
Is fire specifically listed in the nuisance ordinance? And if it's not, is that something?
It's
The
not
chapter is-
specifically, but it is a chronic.
It says any violation
Yeah.
of chapter 660, so
Yes.
yes, it is.
Okay.
So it'll be covered, because I know police and, other departments can use it, so it's a broad thing.
Thank
Okay?
you very much.
All right, no, go
When we
ahead.
go to rewrite that, I'd like to put the prevailing wind bid in there too.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I'll move this forward. Committee okay with it?
Sounds good?
Any management updates?
Back to they can't hear
You
you.
got to put your mic on.
We're grateful for the passing of the levy, but now we have to start making some decisions about what we're going to do to investigate the building of a new facility on the old school grounds. And I'm not asking for anything tonight, but as a group, we have to start looking at that and looking at different ways of financing, and we have to consolidate it so that we get it down that everybody's on the same page
I agree.
with that, because if we're not on the same page, there's no sense even taking it down to the Board of Elections.
I also think with some of the talk that I had at the fire department there, I feel that there are things that we can talk about at committee, such as an architect that it specializes in fire departments. So I think overall that we need to look at safety buildings that are going to be built the very best by the very best. So,
I would like to see several options.
yes.
For design and
this is something I could put on my committee for next month.
Yeah, I
For
think we
planning,
need
for
to move
sure.
forward and look at the overall direction of how we want this built, if we're going to invest in it. I think that it needs to be done by somebody who specializes in this all the way around.
Well, we have to get funding too, how we're doing that. There's a number of things that we need to take care of with that, but we have to put it on the front burner now. We're not
Absolutely.
waiting.
Okay, I appreciate that update, Mayor. Okay, I'll go ahead and end with this at 7:15, and I'll turn it over next to Streets and Sidewalks.
All right, it's 7:15. I'll call Streets and Sidewalks meeting to order. Two items on the agenda this evening. First item is allowing the mayor to enter into contract with JD Striping for our annual striping and marking program. There is a list of streets and areas that will be marked in the contract, and the contract is for just under $85,000 for this year. Something we do every year. Update our school signs, crosswalks, new lines if needed, et cetera, et cetera. Any questions or concerns?
Well, I'll just say that company's done a very high-quality job in the past many years.
JD has done our striping many times, many years, and they've always done a quality job. No other questions or concerns? We'll go ahead and move that item forward. Next item on the agenda is the 25-26 SALT Consortium. This is where we allow other entities to use the salt in our Ravenna salt shed at the street department. The groups that will be using salt this year, they come, they weigh their vehicle in, they fill it with salt, they weigh on the way out, and they pay for the salt that's used. The groups will be Ravenna Township, Ravenna School District, Village of Manaway, PMHA, Maplewood Career Center, and Access Family Services. All those groups have used it in prior years, with the exception of Access Family Services. That'll be a new one this year. And again, they use our salt, but they also pay for the salt used. And there's a surcharge now. Okay. Very good.
Mr. Harper,
Yes.
Access is Family and Community Services.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a new name.
new name.
Do they pay at the, every month or at the, how
They
many
bill monthly.
months?
Say again?
Are they billed monthly?
For the other entities
Or
that
is
use
it-
our.
We bill at the end
Annual.
of the season, as soon as we
So
know
it's-
the snow has stopped.
Once a year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts?
Move it forward.
We okay to move this item forward?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move that item forward as well. We have a management update. Not tonight. Okay. At 7:17, I will adjourn the Streets and Sidewalks Committee meeting.
7:17, I'll start the utility meeting. The first thing on the agenda isn't written, something that's happened recently, for the natural gas suppliers.
No?
So this is, today, it's just up for discussion. Pardon?
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, I think it's the first item.
Oh, okay.
It's the second item. The first item is the contract with Verdantis for the
With
utility rate.
Verdandis, okay. Well, since I mentioned it, we'll just start with that. Oh, so the paper that we have in front of us is from Buckeye Energy Brokers. And they have a list of 5 different companies. They have highlighted Archer Energy, which is a variable until the fall, then it would be fixed. So it's just for discussion and any comments at this time.
I think we are still looking at doing the variable for the 2-month period until we can get a better update on rates at that point, and then we'll be able to shop those rates for the aggregate program and move forward at that point, if memory serves.
If we go with Archer, that means that variable does stay for 2 months, and then we renegotiate with Archer for a fixed rate.
We're stuck with Archer.
So just within whatever their pricing options are.
These other price options, Paul, are fixed rate options, as you see there. We're still waiting for IGS Energy. They wanna give us a bid, but they haven't come through with one yet. So we're waiting on them for a last bid, just an option for another fixed rate.
Cliff?
Thanks, Puck.
Yes.
Seeing the situation we were put in this year, which they didn't do us any favor at all, now we're hanging out there because of it. Is there any way, and if somebody can talk to our attorney, that these people have to go bankrupt or file bankruptcy before they can renege on their offers? Why? I mean, how can that happen? Is there something we can do to hold them liable for some of this stuff? To make them say, okay, we're going into chapter 11, 7, whatever, before they can just say, yeah, we don't want to pay it, we're not going to make enough money this time. Just something that, I would never sign with anybody if there wasn't. And I know how angry you are about it, too.
I'm upset about it.
Okay, right, okay,
Definitely.
thanks.
We had a great rate.
Well, that could be brought before the law director and see what his comments are, since we still have some time to make a decision yet. Okay, if there are no other comments pertaining to this, then the last thing on the agenda will be the contract with Verdantis for utility rate study, and that will be for water treatment and wastewater billing, and it would also go into,
Recycling.
yes. And there's, I'm going to read a little list here. Includes water treatment, distribution, collection, which the collection is done periodically, administration, labor costs, benefits, operating expenses, non-capitalized equipment and supply purchases, maintenance, capital improvements, and debt expenses. So those are some actual highlights of what they'll be looking into. And to see what their recommendations are, see if they believe that anything might need to be changed or not. So if there are any comments pertaining to with Verdantis and this rate study.
Well, it looks like a pretty comprehensive analysis of the last 5 years of our rates, how it's been used, pricing, debt that's accrued from people that don't pay, and an evaluation of the use of that service. So this is a pretty good plan here for an evaluation based on their scope of work.
What is the cost for this study?
45,000. Half from water and half from sewer. Have we done this? How long ago was the last one done?
It's been a while. I can't answer the question on that one, but it's been since, it's been a while. I don't know if you remember, Mr. Seaman, when we did one, but I don't. When we did a rate study on the water and sewer rates, I don't remember. Obviously, that's outside of CPI. We do that every year, but we haven't done it in a while. We're really, our prices are pretty darn good.
I believe it's been several years. I don't have the exact year.
Been here.
Yeah, that's been several years. Okay, if there are no other comments, is there a management update pertaining to these two topics?
No, I think that, of course, you all know that that was the previous CT, and they
Yes.
merged. And they've done a lot of work for us. And this is really around the utilities that our customers pay in, to see if our rate is high, low, right on target, that sort of thing. It's the purpose of this, because we're going to be financing some over a number of years. The recommendations that we had done with the study on the wastewater treatment plant, and I think also, I can include the water plant, that we're trying to get a handle on how that's going to be paid for. Now, keep in mind, I am paranoid about keeping our bond rating in good shape so that we have the ability to borrow money. And so right now, that's the way this is. Since those areas are funded by the people in the city, we need to see what is the appropriate rate for that.
Can I just get clarification for next week's committee of the whole meeting? Is this still on discussion?
For the, excuse me,
The rate?
the gas aggregation?
No, the rate, no, that you said was still leaving on discussion.
Yes.
With the other item.
I thought we were moving this forward for contract.
Yes.
I'm good to move the contract forward.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
There's
what
a
was
very
your,
long contract.
did you have another comment? Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, at 7:27, call the end of the utility committee meeting.